I wanted to record a video about something that's been on my mind recently. It's about social isolation and stay-at-home fathers, and I've been inspired to do it because of a couple of comments that I've seen left on Facebook by dads recently, and also from personal experience, because I've got into the habit of doing something with our 3-year-old Elizabeth that I used to do with her older sister. I've got into the habit of taking her to soft play once a week, and whenever I take her to soft play, we're talking during office hours, I will always find myself sat on a table on my own, and around me will be lots of tables of other mums, all in groups, all chatting and socialising. Now, I don't want to give you the wrong impression. It's not sour grapes. It's not, I'm not upset by this. I've been main carer for my kids for 4 years now, so I'm quite used to these situations. But I do hear from dads sometimes who find themselves in that kind of situation, and they are obviously quite angry. And I thought it might be useful just to explain a bit why I think social isolation is a problem for guys in my position. But before I say that, before I go on to that, I have to stress that I fully recognise that social isolation is a huge issue for mums, and I know mums who personally who really struggle with it. So I'm not at all suggesting that it's any more important, and in fact I'll be interested from hearing mums watching this video as to how much they can actually relate to it, because I certainly think especially there probably are some comparisons to be made. So what happens? Well, I think what happens is, even in a sort of stay-at-home dad relationship, mum will very often take several months off work after the birth of a child because she's breastfeeding. Now, during that time, mum will frequently socialise, with NCT friends. She maybe go to breastfeeding cafes and that type of thing, and she will build up a network of friends with children of a similar age. Now, I don't think you can actually underestimate the influence of a strong network of mum friends. Of course, what happens with with my sort of family after the period of maternity, or shared parental leave as it is now, of course, mum goes back to the office and never really socialises with those mum friends again. And dad, if he's if this is like the first child that arrives, he's probably been working up to the end of the maternity leave, so he's never been plugged in to that mum network. So he's suddenly left holding a child while the mum has gone back to work, and he's kind of Billy No Mates. Mum, meanwhile, has gone back to her old work friends and is socialising with them, and she never builds up a network of mum friends. And once or twice people have made the comment to me when I've been struggling to find childcare for my kids. Well, doesn't your wife have any friends who can help out or suggest someone? And the truthful answer is, in my sort of relationship, the answer is no. If I'm struggling to find someone to look after the kids, then she would definitely struggle, because she just doesn't have those friendships in place. So the obvious question that you're probably asking is, well, why don't you plug into your dad network of friends? And it's a very fair question. The truthful answer is that dads who are in my position are so few and far between. There was one who was at my daughter's school for a while when she first started, and we got along very well, but he then got a job. So we don't really see that much of each other anymore. And there are actually a few dads that I can sort of rely on and ask for help from time to time, but it's not the same, especially when the overwhelming majority of dads work full time. Have you ever actually tried to do something with a full-time working male on say the weekend, for instance? It can be very difficult. So the dad networks just don't get established in the same way as mum networks, and I am the only stay-at-home father I'm aware of in my locality. That said, social media networks, they do exist for guys, and frankly the ones that I use, they write, the scandal and the gossip and the issues that we discuss rival anything that you see on Mumsnet or any of those really established channels. So trust me, those networks are there, but not for sort of meeting in real life. What there are, however, set up are groups such, weekend groups where dads can meet up, and I know of one in my area called Saturdads. Great for working dads who want to meet up at the weekend. That enables them to build up a network. At the weekends, my wife is at home and she wants to spend time with the kids, and so it would sort of be wrong of me to take the kids away from her to go attend a Saturdads group. But you see, also that group benefits the working dads. For me, the friends I sort of want to make and the social networks I want to establish are people who are at home during the working week. And then of course we come across the other awkward thing, which is impropriety. You want to establish friendships and get to know mums and women, but there is an awkward line to cross because you don't want to be accused of doing anything inappropriate. And I can think of one experience I had when I was at the house of the friend of one of my daughters. Both the kids were there, as was the other kid's mum. She offered me a drink. I had a drink, and her older son came home, and rather unfortunately later that night he started cracking jokes to his dad about how the mum had a strange man in the house, which that type of thing isn't very helpful. I can also think of Gideon Burrows, great writer who wrote a fantastic book a few years ago called Men Can Do It. And he tells a story in his book about one of the first play dates he ever organised. He felt that, he wanted to make sure it was all above board, so he arranged for his wife to actually be at home when the group of women he'd invited, when they all turned up, his wife was there before she went off a little bit later. So he did that to make sure there was no suggestion of impropriety. So it's a difficult thing. I have no solutions to this. I think I am quite thick-skinned. I'm sort of used to this type of thing now. I don't want to leave you with the wrong impression. I'm not sort of lonely or anything like that. But I think the unfortunate thing for the stay-at-home dad is not having that, that same supportive network that a lot of mums have. Is that your children, because you don't know so many parents, you don't know so many of their kids, your kids don't actually get the chances to socialise as much as other kids, and that is actually what upsets me. Forget about me, I volunteered to do this. I knew there were going to be some troubles along the way, but it is my kids that I feel for. As I say, I've got absolutely no solutions to offer. I just think it's a fascinating subject. It's one that I could talk about all day, but I just wanted to put a few thoughts on camera. So please do leave any comments or thoughts that you have on the issue of social isolation and the way that it affects women as well as men, because I think that is an issue that also needs exploring. And feel free to leave any comments about the suit and shirt as well. I'd love to hear them. So thanks for watching.